Right friends, in this module let us discuss about developed countries, developing countries, trade deficit, current account deficit and balance of payments. This is lecture number 28 and let us look at the first one, developed countries. Several times we come across these two terms, that is developed countries and developing countries. Developed countries examples are United States of America, Japan, Germany, France, Canada, Australia, South Korea, United Kingdom, these are all examples of developed countries. So, what differentiates developed countries from developing countries? Developed countries have got several features. All of you are well aware that in any country, the transformation takes place from agrarian economy followed by industrial economy followed by services. Country, when it transforms from least developed to developing and then developed, the transformation takes place from agrarian economy to industrialized economy followed by services economy. And these developed countries, the predominant features are more industrialized. The agriculture related income or agrarian income in overall GDP is very less. Predominantly the services followed by industry. That is the basic trait of developed countries. There are several features: more industrialized, more national income based on services followed by industry, high per capita income, the standard of living per capita income is very high. Next is world class infrastructure. You will have world class expressways, world class airports, world class ports and social infrastructure. You may ask, what is this physical infrastructure and social infrastructure? Physical infrastructure, the example is world class highways, world class railways, bullet trains. That is example of physical infrastructure. What is social infrastructure? The example of social infrastructure is world class universities, world class health facilities. These are examples of social infrastructure. So, these are the traits predominantly of developed countries. Very few people below poverty line. Poverty and hunger normally not there in developed countries. If at all it is there, but very few people below poverty line, then high standard of living and high human development index. These are the traits of developed countries. If you look at the developing countries, the examples of developing countries are India, China, Brazil, South Africa, Nigeria, Turkey, Mexico. These are basically examples of developing countries. These are in the process of industrialization, that is from agrarian economy to industrialized economy. I have already told you, in the normal process of development from least developed country to developed country, the transformation takes place from agrarian economy to industrialized economy followed by services economy. But unfortunately, in many countries, directly the transformation is taking place from agrarian economy to services sector. One classic example is India. Our share in manufacturing is very less and directly the transformation is taking place from agrarian sector to services sector. So, the actual transformation in developing countries nowadays is not taking place from agrarian to industry to services. By skipping industry, the transformation is directly taking from agrarian to services. But in previous days, whatever we have discussed, developed countries like USA, Germany, the transformation took place via industrial sector, but in these countries except China, the transformation is taking place from agrarian economy to directly services sector economy. Leaving that point, the other features of developing countries, substantial people below poverty line. If you look at India, around 20 to 30% people are still below poverty line. If you look at China, substantial people are below poverty line. Though China has made lot of progress, but several people are still below poverty line in the rural hinterland. Poor infrastructure, both physical and social. Physical infrastructure is the highway network is not satisfactory. The connection to rural hinterland is still worse. Public transport system is not up to the mark, and the world-class infrastructure like bullet trains are yet to make its mark in a country like India. And if you look at the social infrastructure, world-class universities. We don't have world-class universities. No university in our country is within the top 100. Then we don't have universal access to health. Several people still lagging behind in access to healthcare facilities. So we have poor infrastructure, both physical and social, low human development index, and poor educational standards. So these are the hallmarks of developing countries, and some of the countries might have overcome some of these challenges, but if you look at the broader perspective, several of these conditions are yet to be overcome by these developing countries. Right? It may take some more time to migrate from developing countries to developed countries. Right? So this is the differentiation between developing countries and developed countries. Because nowadays we frequently use the terms developed countries and developing countries. Trade deficit. Frequently we use the terms trade deficit, current account deficit, and balance of payments. These are very important because no country survives in isolation. United States of America and the European Union need our software exports. And we need oil from Middle East and North African countries. No one can live in isolation. China's capital goods are the necessity in several countries nowadays. So no country can live in isolation. World trade is very much essential. So what is meant by trade deficit? What is meant by current account deficit? What is meant by balance of payments? Basically, these are the terms associated with transactions of one country with another country. If the country is a closed economy without any trade with any other country, then there is no need for these terms. But no country can live in isolation. Because of that reason, these terms assumed significance. What is meant by trade deficit? Please look into this picture. These are goods for exports or imports. So, the trade deficit is the difference between imports and exports of physical goods. The difference between imports and exports of physical goods is a trade deficit. Always we are into trade deficit, and if our exports are more than imports, then it will be trade surplus. That is there for some countries, but not for India. We are always into trade deficit. That means our imports are more in comparison to exports, predominantly due to one major reason, that for oil we are mostly dependent on imports. Our 77% of our oil requirements are met through imports. That is the main reason our imports are more than exports. Anyhow, rough figures I have given here. These are not the sacrosanct figures. Only for your explanation purpose, I have taken these figures. Our imports are approximately $450 billion and exports are around $300 billion, and the difference is around $150 billion. So our trade deficit is around $150 billion. This figure may change. Please don't take it as sacrosanct. Why I used certain figures is to explain you about current account deficit and balance of payments, right? So our trade deficit is around $150 billion. What is current account deficit? Current account deficit is the sum total of these four items. That is the trade in physical goods. Second one is services. Third one is primary income. Fourth one is secondary income. These four put together is termed as current account deficit. If it is surplus, we call it surplus, but we are mostly into deficit. That's why this term originated. That is current account deficit. So current account deficit is the sum total of trade in physical goods, services, primary income and secondary income. We have already discussed trade in physical goods, that is a trade deficit, and we have already discussed that trade deficit is around $150 billion. That means on the physical goods front, our transaction is minus $150 billion. If you look at the services, what is meant by services? All of you are well aware that we export the software to foreign countries. we have several software companies based here, Wipro, Infosys, Tech Mahindra, TCS, all of you are well aware. Their predominant income is coming from North America and Europe. The software provided by these firms is predominantly used in America and Europe, and because of which we are surplus by $80 million. So, in services front, we are with the plus $80 billion. These are rough figures. So, in services, our status is plus $80 billion. If you look at the primary income, what is primary income? Primary income is the income when the multinational companies take away as royalties, intellectual property rights, profits, other charges. That means all of you are well aware, day in and day out we are drinking Coca-Cola, Pepsi. We are using cars made by Hyundai. We are using cars made by Volkswagen. We are using Nestle products. All of you are well aware about Maggi noodles. So, these are all the multinational companies. Their parent company is in the foreign land. They established their subsidiary here, and for using the brand name and at the same time for using their product in this country, for the intellectual property rights, and as royalties, they take away some money from the country. Coca-Cola, Pepsi, every year they take away some money from our country. Like that, the primary income is, this is royalties, profits, other charges taken away by multinational companies. Here we are minus by $20 billion. Why we are minus? Because the multinational companies of other countries are more in India than the multinational companies established by our country on foreign land. That is the reason we are minus $20 billion here. Next one is secondary income. What is secondary income? Secondary income is our people are staying in United States of America. Several people, especially from Kerala, are staying in Gulf countries like Saudi Arabia. They send money to their parents, sisters, brothers. To the homeland they send money. That is foreign remittances. Every year we get around $70 billion of foreign remittances. That is plus for our country. So, the secondary income is, these are the remittances sent by Indians staying abroad to their parents or relatives. This is plus 70 for our country. So, as a whole in current account, trade in physical goods is minus 150, services is plus 80, then primary income comes to minus 20, secondary income comes to plus 70, put together it comes to minus 20. That means our current account deficit is $20 billion, which is around 1% of our GDP. Many times we talk about current account deficit of 1.5% of our GDP. That means our GDP is around $2 trillion. That means $2,000 billion. Our GDP is around $2,000 billion and current account deficit is $20 billion. Maybe 30. So, that comes to 1 or 1.5% of our GDP. Right? So, several times we talk about current account deficit as so and so percentage of GDP. And if you look at the balance of payments, so far we have discussed about current account. In addition to current account, capital account will also be there. What is meant by capital account? All of you are well aware. Foreign portfolio investments. Foreign firms based in Europe, based in America can invest in our stock markets up to some limit. The firms based in America or Europe can invest up to some limit in our stock market. That is foreign portfolio investment. That is under capital account. Then foreign direct investment. Foreign direct investment is directly establishing a company here by multinational company. Their parent company may be in other country and they will establish their subsidiary here by investment, that is foreign direct investment, that is Pepsi, Coca-Cola, Volkswagen, General Electric, Nestle, when they establish manufacturing facility here, that is foreign direct investment. After investing in this country, subsequently they may take royalties, they may take profits, that comes under primary income, we have already discussed. But the direct investment to establish company here is foreign direct investment. So this is a foreign portfolio investment and foreign direct investment. These two comes under capital account. So current account we are minus, capital account we are plus, around plus 40 plus 50. So overall this current account and capital account put together is known as balance of payments. So the balance of payments in a nutshell is statement of economic transactions between the residents of one country with the rest of the world. The residents of India with the rest of the world, the financial transactions is balance of payments. It includes current account, what we have discussed just now, and capital account. Capital account is predominantly FPI and FDI. FPI is highly volatile. Today they may invest, tomorrow they may take away. But FDI is not volatile. Once that foreign direct investment comes to our country, it cannot go away easily. Only they will take royalty payments or profits. But that investment will remain in this country. So foreign direct investment is more stable. Foreign institutional investment or foreign portfolio investment is the most unstable. Right? So current account, capital account put together, or you can say the statement of economic transactions between the residents of the country and the rest of the world is balance of payments. We are pretty comfortable in balance of payments front, because though there is a deficit of minus 20 in current account, our capital account flows are there around 40 to 50 billion dollars or much more than that, because of which we are plus in balance of payments. That's why our foreign exchange reserves are increasing. Right? I am not going into the details of these foreign exchange reserves. At present, we have around $350 billion of foreign exchange reserves, and they are increasing for the past 2-3 years. One of the reasons is in balance of payments, our position is quite comfortable because of excessive inflows through FDI and sometimes through FPI. This is all about trade deficit, current account deficit and balance of payments. So in this module we have discussed about developed countries, developing countries, trade deficit, current account deficit and balance of payments. I hope you enjoyed this lecture. Please do join for 29th module. Have a nice day. Thank you.